All right, here we go. On Friday, the S&P 500 and the Dow made new record highs. But then this week, the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, PCE index, will be released. So, how will markets react? And also, how does this affect our positions? Well, welcome to Coffee with Marcus and Mark. The weekend is over, and today is Monday, February 26th. And in this show, we're going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And with that said, fireworks on Friday and nothing today.
Well, even fireworks on Friday is a bit of an overstatement, Marcus. We did make new records in the S&P and the Dow, but on Friday with a small gain, small reversal there, the S&P finished higher by 0.03% or by just 2 points to eke out a new record high. So I would say fireworks for the week, not necessarily Friday, and today a little bit of a Monday morning hangover, it looks like.
Yeah, you're right. I was looking at Thursday, and this is where I thought,
Yeah.
hey, there was a lot going on Thursday. Can't even remember. Why
Fireworks
did
on
why did we
Thursday.
rally on Thursday?
Nvidia.
Oh, right. Nvidia earnings. That's what this is all about. Yeah, but if you look at a 5 minute chart today, I mean, we were just officially diddling along here. And I want to zoom out so that we also see Friday because, yeah, you're right. And I was wrong. We opened higher,
That's
pulled back on Friday, diddled along, and that's what we're doing today. Right now, just now, the S&P 500 turned negative by 2.9 points, 3 points on a 5,100 point index. That's nothing.
yeah. Quiet start for the week. S&P down a tiny bit right now. Dow up a little bit, just 17, 18 points. Nasdaq's up a little bit. Although Dow higher, and Dow has a new name in its index, Amazon.
Amazon. Amazon joins the Dow today, giving the 127-year-old index a needed upgrade. So,
Yeah.
WBA Walgreens Boots Alliance is out. Amazon is in.
Little more tech exposure for the Dow now, and Amazon up just 0.1%. So no real fireworks there or excitement, at least from investors with Amazon, but up a little bit for the day.
Yeah. We're looking at this week, the economic calendar. We said it in the intro. So tomorrow we have consumer confidence. That could move the markets. Then on Wednesday we have the preliminary GDP. And then on Thursday, that's when really everybody wants to know what's happening with the core PCE price index here. That is probably the most sloppiest circling that I've done in a long time. Anyhow, previous months up 0.2% after a hotter PPI and CPI data, now expected to climb again by 0.4% month over month. What do you think about this?
I think that this, based on what we've seen, would be expected, right? We had the hotter CPI data coming out, so I mean, this I think is to be expected. So if it's in line with expectations, then that's priced in. But it'll be interesting to see if there's a big difference either way based on the report.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is where also looking at the CME Group FedWatch tool, where we see the probabilities that Fed funds trader are factoring in right now. Seems that, okay, no rate cuts for the next two meetings. I mean, we see that for the March meeting, 97.5% that rates are staying the same. And for the May meeting, this has now increased to 82.7%.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty big surprise if the Fed cut before June, and that's what the probabilities show now. So, a little bit of a reality check for the market and Fed funds futures. Although even a July cut is probably more likely than the June at this point, at least based on what the Fed has said, and not barring any or not considering any crazy news to suggest a weakening economy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is where we see for June, it's only 62% that will have a rate cut there. July is more likely, and this is what we have been saying all along.
Yep.
All right. Well,
So
looking at interest rates this morning, I mean, it seems that interest rates this morning are moving a little bit higher. So, I mean, both the 10-year yield and the 2-year yield up half a percentage point. I mean, at higher levels here. I mean, not as high as they were last week, where we were scratching almost 4.4%, but still staying here between, I want to say, 4.2 and 4.4% right now.
yeah, and it's interesting to see that at least earlier this morning there really wasn't much pressure on stocks, so just kind of flat and quiet, and up 0.5% in yields. Not a perfect inverse relationship, but you typically see a little more pressure on stocks, at least what we've experienced over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to our position, I'm going to talk about Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, reporting earnings on Saturday. And wow, I mean, their earnings jumped by 28%. I mean, holy cannoli, that's a whole lot. I mean, this is not just, I don't know, 7, 8, 9%, 28%.
Not too shabby there. And you also see that headline sitting on a pile of cash like Warren Buffett. Gosh, hey, what's he going to do with all this cash?
Well, I mean, this is where he kind of said, I don't know what to do. Because he basically said, listen, all the companies that we want to invest in, we are invested in. And right now, it's not that there's anything new between the previous quarter and this quarter, at least according to him. And this is where probably he's also waiting of what's happening here with interest rates and the Fed before he's making a move. So I can understand that from last quarter, the third quarter of 2023 to the fourth quarter, he didn't see much of a change. Might be different in this quarter. I think that he might be going shopping again next quarter.
Could be, and it will be interesting to see if he makes another substantial investment in another company, or if at these levels he continues to wait, and if he'd rather to pick up a little more of something that he already owns, like Oxy.
Yeah, could be. Was also interesting to see that he basically said, okay, let's be clear about Charlie Munger. He called him the architect, while I said I was more the general contractor. But I mean, he clearly admitted that Charlie was the architect behind everything they did, and he was basically just executing it. So that's also interesting. Is there something that Berkshire Hathaway, I don't know, or will change there without Charlie Munger now?
Just like there's the discussion that we've had in the past about what happens when Warren Buffett isn't around, right? And how will that impact Berkshire Hathaway? It seems like once you get a big ship headed in a direction, then that momentum can carry through, right? But of course, there's going to be some changes, and is it going to be a huge difference? Probably not. But interesting to hear that, and I wonder if it was more symbolic than an issue.
Okay. Now, talking about the largest companies in America, we were talking about Nvidia a whole lot last week, but we see that Berkshire Hathaway about to crack $1 trillion up this morning, but now pulling back. But they are right there. If you look at this, I mean, at this point, more valuable than Tesla.
That I think that. Well, let's put it this way: when I first back in 1996, when I first really started learning taking stock investing seriously, I remember the idea was if you held a couple dozen Berkshire Hathaway stocks, even back then, you'd be doing okay, right? So as far as this market cap goes, I don't think it's that much of a surprise that they're creeping up there. It's interesting that over the decades they've done so well, and there's other names above them, in my opinion. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, right now, a little bit of a pullback, and we see this morning out of the gap rallying on a 5-minute chart, a little bit of a pullback, but still, outperforming the S&P here. I think for the year they're up, I want to see, yeah, almost 16%, while the S&P 500 for the year, I think it was up like 6%. No, it's 7.11%. So, I mean, outperforming it by twice, even though he's sitting on cash. But I mean, cash
Yeah,
right now, I mean, he's probably collecting some decent interest on this
true.
cash.
Of course. Yeah, that's a given, and just waiting for the right time to strike. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. All right, S&P 500 right now at the lows of the day. So let's see how this is impacting our positions. And first up here, CSIQ. CSIQ this morning up as much as 2%, which I think is good news for CSIQ, because last week we know that CSIQ was dragged down by other solar companies who reported dismal earnings and were down, what, 15%, 18%, something like this. CSIQ hanging in there this morning up. And even right now, even though interest rates are rising, still slightly positive. So, I mean, not liking it that our beautiful triangle. No, I can't draw a new line here. So let's just put the old line in there. That's what we had, was broken to the downside. So we'll see. But I mean, this morning, I think good news that it was up. We have to probably wait until they report earnings before we see a significant move here.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, hanging in there, like you said, and that's what we see. And a little bit above 21. It's too bad that we couldn't see it carry through or follow through with the rally we had earlier. But being flat for the day, I'll take that.
Yeah. All right, next, GDXJ. We both got assigned at 33. You a little bit earlier. I joined you. So we own shares at 33, and we both sold calls for half of our position against the 33 on Friday already. You sold it for $23. I sold it for $25. So 25 is more than 23. So I'm doing good.
It should be. It should
Huh?
be. In most circles, it would be, not all, but in most it would be. And this is actually a plan change for us. We talked about this in Cancun with our mastermind members. We noticed that there were times when we were selling calls at our cost basis, and I think that's a pretty easy thing to do. You get that nice premium, you get more premium that way, and it's an easy call on Monday to get it. And we noticed there were times when, if we had waited just a little bit longer, we could sell calls slightly higher, make some money on the stock increase as well. So that's something that we are taking a closer look at and doing in this case, potentially selling calls at 24, 25. We'll see.
Well, it
30,
should be rather 34,
34, 35.
35.
Yeah,
Yeah, your plan is
30.
probably towards 34. My plan is 35.
Yep.
All right, so we'll see here. NEE today, ex dividend. So we're getting another dividend from NEE. Today we're getting, what is the dividend payment? 51.5 cents, so almost 52 cents. And I mean, as expected, there is a drop whenever we have ex dividend date. There's a little bit of drop, and the question is, okay, how quickly can they recover from this? Let's take a look at maybe previously when they paid dividends. So here it is. We saw the drop on the next day, and then recovering, and saw a little bit of a drop here, recovering. So I mean, we should be good here with the recovery over the next couple of days. But today, definitely down, mainly probably because of the ex-dividend and then also the higher interest.
Yeah, yeah. So a little more downside than we would expect, but with the yields, that is to be expected.
Yeah. UPS, come on, little buddy. The goal was to stay above 148 here. And I mean, it looked good today, trading at 146.70 so far. But let's see if we can pull back above the 148. I mean, this trend line is still intact, but we see that the 148 level here seems just to be important support, resistance, support, resistance. I mean, right now, UPS hasn't decided yet whether it's support or resistance.
So far, and we, all things considered, this pullback within the trend that we saw once lows were established around 139 is still intact, but yeah, let's say above 148. Let's get a reversal today. I'm rooting for it.
Get up there. And then MRO, my MRO trade that I did, I did get called away. So
Ah,
MRO, just a phenomenal trade this year. This is where, what was it, at 2250? So I sold puts at 2250. I got assigned at 2250. I was able to sell calls again and again. And then I got called away at 2350.
yeah, picture perfect wheel trade, and there's nothing wrong with getting called away because if there is a pullback, you could reestablish a position. I was looking to establish a position potentially last week, but didn't have the strike that I wanted.
Yeah. So, this is where looking at the trading log, MRO, my most profitable trade this year so far.
Nice.
So, yielded me $12,305. So, as I said, this was just a picture perfect trade right now, followed by UPS and Oxy. So, these are right now the three most profitable trades for me. And this, today with the markets just diddling around, we didn't see really a whole lot. We did look at CZR as a possible trade, right? So we looked at this. 3950 is available, so that's something. If you're interested in this, you could consider. Another one that we looked at. What was it? RH, previously
That's right.
known as Restoration Hardware, now RH. Earlier I think the 23750 was available.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyhow, these are the trades that we were considering. Nothing new on WTF other than that we did close our MU trade.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it on Friday, but real nice WTF signal and exit there. Loving that.
Yeah. Working out great. All right. Looking at what's happening in the markets, diddling along. Opening just there, going lower right now, bouncing off lows. Really not a whole lot going on. Markets are clearly waiting to hear more about inflation and what the Fed is thinking. So we do have the inflation report, and then let's see, how many days do we have left? 23 days until the next FOMC meeting. So that's what we're looking for right now.
23 days, 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 7 seconds.
There you go, to be exact. Okay. All right. Did you enjoy this? Are you enjoying it when we're showing you our trades, talk about our plans, and letting you know what's happening in our heads? If you do, give us a like. Really appreciate it. If you feel that others can benefit from it, there's a share button right underneath the video. Please feel free to share it. And then if you're new to the channel, hope that you subscribe, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.